this video, let us study some basics of conductors, semiconductors, insulators, and also the structure of an atom. Okay, so you know about integrated circuit, right? So when you open any electronic equipment, you will see many components like resistors, inductors, capacitors, transformers, diodes and transistors. So we are very well aware of resistors, inductors, capacitors, which are the passive elements. So in network analysis, we will be studying in detail about the each and every element, resistor, inductor and capacitor. So we will be studying about the diode and the transistor in further videos. Okay, so all these components are present in an electrical circuit. So consider an electric circuit that consists of all these components: resistors, inductors, capacitors, transformers, diodes and transistors. Okay, so this circuit, which is consisting all these components, will be fabricated on a single chip, and that is called as your integrated circuit. Okay, that is your integrated circuit. So if I consider diode, see, this is a circuit which has a lamp here. This is the lamp, and here we have a power supply. And we'll consider another, this one. This is a symbol of diode. Okay, this is P and N. We will be studying in detail about this PN junction diode. Okay, just for this explanation purpose, I am taking this. This is a battery, this is a diode, okay, this is also a diode, this is your bulb. So bulb, diode and the battery, they are connected in series in both these configurations. Okay, so in this, what happens, your diode becomes forward biased and it starts to conduct electricity. So what happens, your bulb will glow here. But here this becomes reverse biased. Okay, this becomes reverse biased. So it will act like an open circuit. So no current flows even though there is a battery, and your bulb doesn't glow in this case. So from this we will see that this has a unidirectional conducting property. Unidirectional conducting property. So power which is available at mains in our homes. Okay, power which is available, that will be your AC. But to operate few devices, we will require DC. So in that purposes, we use rectifiers. So the rectifiers will be using these diodes. So diode, it converts AC to DC. Okay, this is one point. Okay, so it has a unidirectional property. And transistors, when you study about these transistors, you will come to know that this will be amplifying the weak signals. Means it will increase the strength of the weak signals. Okay, so we have MOSFET, we have field junction effect transistor. Okay, then we also have bipolar junction transistor, unipolar junction transistor. These are the different types of transistors available. Okay, so when we see about this conductors, insulators and semiconductors, okay, before entering the semiconductor band theory, we should be knowing like what conductor is, what insulator is and what the semiconductor is. Okay, so conductors, you know, the metals are good conductors of electricity. Conductors means they are the good conductors of electricity. Means they allow the electricity or the current to pass through them. Okay, for example, you can consider copper, silver, aluminium. Okay, see, these are the good conductors of electricity. And conductors, they will be having positive temperature coefficient of resistance. Okay, coefficient of resistance, you know, RT is equal to R naught into 1 plus alpha of T minus T naught. Okay, so what happens is when you increase the temperature, your resistivity also starts to increase. Okay, and when resistivity increases, okay, that is nothing but the positive temperature coefficient of resistance. And insulators, these are the bad conductors of electricity. These are bad conductors of electricity. Okay, for example, we have plastic. Okay, then we have plastic. Okay, quartz. We have glass. Okay, so these are the examples of insulators. Next, when you consider electrical wires, okay, if you consider a wire which is used at homes for wiring, and we will be using the wires, right? So this wires, this will be having the core which is made up of conductors, means copper or aluminum. Okay, it will be having a core of this conducting material, and it will be having, or it will be covered by the insulator. Okay, this is a cover, it means this wire will be having a cover, right? So that will be actually made up of this insulating material, because this provides the protection against the short circuit. So they may use plastic, they may use rubber also. Okay, rubber is also an example of the insulator. Okay, so that is the concept of wire. Next, when we see the semiconductors, these are neither the good conductors nor insulators. Okay, so semiconductors are those materials whose conductivity lies between conductors and insulators. Okay, so they are neither good conductors nor insulators. This will be having negative temperature coefficient of resistance. Okay, negative temperature coefficient of resistance. That means as temperature increases, your resistivity starts to decrease and conductivity increases. Okay, that is in the case of the semiconductors. So again, they have two types. Okay, that is silicon, germanium are the examples. These are the single elements, right? And you will also get compound like gallium arsenide. That is also a semiconductor. Okay, so these are the examples of the semiconductors. So next, let us take the structure of an atom. You know, atom, it is the basic building block of the matter. Okay, basic building block of matter. So it consists of nucleus. Atom consists of nucleus. This is a central body. Okay, this will be present at the center. That is your nucleus. And this nucleus, it contains protons and neutrons. Okay, so this nucleus, it contains protons and neutrons. And what about your electrons? Okay, these electrons will be revolving around the nucleus in its orbits or shells. These are called as orbits or shells. Okay, here your electrons will be revolving around the nucleus. Okay, so you can say protons and neutrons, they have almost same mass. Electrons are very, very lightweight. One consider when we compare with these two, electrons are very lightweight. Okay, so we can say the atom mass of an atom is always concentrated in the nucleus. Okay, because of the mass of proton and neutron. So we can say atomic mass, okay, that is equal to number of protons plus number of neutrons, and number of protons, it gives you the atomic number. Okay, so if you know the atomic mass number and if you know the number of protons, you can calculate the number of neutrons present in an atom. Okay, so when you consider this electrons, it will be negatively charged, and protons, these are positively charged. Okay, and neutrons, these are electrically neutral. And you know that matter in general, okay, this is neutral. So atom, okay, for the atom to be neutral, you have this electrically neutral atoms. So the number of protons should be equal to number of electrons. Then only your atom will be electrically neutral in general. Okay. And remember, all these electrons will not be revolving around the nucleus in the same orbit. Okay, it will not be revolving in the same orbit. There will be different shells or different orbits. And each orbit can have maximum 2n² electrons. So the first shell, it can have 2 electrons. And second shell, it will be having 8 electrons. Third shell, it can have 18 electrons. And the fourth shell, it can have 32 electrons. Okay, But remember, the outermost orbit of an atom, outermost orbit, this is the outermost orbit, the maximum number of electrons that can be present is 8. Okay, it should not exceed more than 8. That is in the outermost orbit. Okay, so these will be called as your valence electrons. These are called as your valence electrons. Okay. So what is the charge of electron? That is minus 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb. This is the charge of electron. So proton has positive charge. Okay, proton has positive charge. So now let us take hydrogen atom. Hydrogen atom, it doesn't have any neutrons, no neutrons. It has only one proton and one electron. Okay, this is the nucleus, it has one proton and it has one electron. This is your hydrogen atom. So next, if I consider, okay, aluminium, it has atomic number 13. Atomic number is 13. So you can write 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. So now it is like you have 10. Okay. Then 3s2, 3p1. Right. So is it 13 now? 4, 10, 13. Right. Yes. This is first shell will have 2. Second shell will have 8. Third, this is the outermost. It has 3 electrons, which is less than 8. Okay. So 27 is your mass, atomic mass. So 27 minus 13 gives you the number of neutrons. So 14 neutrons will be present in the nucleus. So if I consider this as a nucleus, it has 13 protons, 14 neutrons. Okay. So the first shell has 2 electrons. Now I will mark this electrons. Second shell has 8 electrons. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The third shell has only 3 electrons. Okay. Third shell has only, this is the third shell. It has only 3 electrons. This is your aluminium atom. Okay. Next, if I consider silicon, atomic number is 14. Atomic number is 14. So now I will modify this itself. See, this is 3p2. So it has 4. Okay. So it has 14. Proton is 14. So the first has 2 electrons. The second one has 8 electrons. The third orbit has a 4 electrons. So these are the 4 electrons, outermost orbit. So these are called as the valence electrons. Similarly, germanium, which has atomic number 32. Okay, so you can write 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 3d10, 4s2, 4p2. Okay, so this gives you 4 valence electrons in the 4th orbit. So this also has 4 valence electrons. Okay, so you can draw here only, means instead of 8, okay, instead of this second orbit, instead of 4, first write you have 18 electrons and next draw another orbit which has 4 valence electrons. Okay, you can draw the atom structure for the germanium. Okay, then you have phosphorus, which is having 15 atomic number, phosphorus 15. So it has 5 valence electrons, right? It has 5 valence electrons. Remember why we are stressing this valence electrons, because see the electrons, these are the inner orbits or inner shells, right? So the electrons which are present in this inner orbit or inner shells, they are bound to the nucleus. They are bound to the nucleus. So they cannot move freely to the another atom. But what happens? The electrons which are present here, that is in the outermost orbit, they are loosely bound to the nucleus. So if I apply little bit external energy, they will gain that energy and they will start to jump to another electron, another atom. So they can move from they can move or transfer from one atom to another. Okay, so these are the valence electrons. These valence electrons only become free electrons, because of which there is a conduction. Okay, because of which a conductor or anything can conduct electricity is because of the free electrons. So these are the valence electrons becoming the free electrons, which are free to transfer or move from one atom to another atom. Okay, so that is the valence electrons. So you have group 4, group 5, group 3 elements, and those are classified based on the number of valence electrons. So silicon and germanium, these are the group 4 elements. Group 4 elements which have 4 valence electrons. Okay, then you have phosphorus, you have arsenic, antimony, okay, antimony, bismuth. This all come under 5th group element, okay, because they have 5 valence electrons. Next you have boron, indium, gallium, okay, aluminium. Is it right? They are group 3 elements. Group 3 elements because they have valence electrons. They are 3. Okay, so these are the group 3 elements. So this is all about the structure of an atom. Next, in the next video, we will be studying about the band energies. Okay, so these are the different group elements. So we need these basics to understand the semiconductor.